Hey y'all, you got gourd, you're hurting hippie with HNN, Hippie News Network, the only show where the anchor is baked, but your news isn't faked. I kind of like that one. I made it up. It's one of my better ones. And speaking of a joke, why not start with one? I heard a great one on the Greg Gutfield show today because it very much falls in line with what is going on with the federal government, Jeff Sessions, crackdown on drugs, all that kind of stuff. They were talking about why would you bother with a plant, keeping all those strangers away from the plant. And the comedian that was on it, and I do not know his name, it's not my joke, but he says, to me, sure, pot may make you laugh when your grandma falls down the stairs, but heroin could make you push her down the stairs, and crack makes you rob her when she hits the bottom. So come on, let it go, let it go. But I want to take a much different view on this, my friends. I want to talk about how this is, as I said in my, I think it was a porch pondering, a long one, this is a nothing burger. All Jeff Sessions did was remove an Obama era piece that protected, that told the federal government what to do to avoid, in fact, force the government's hand to leave the industry alone and leave states' rights alone. When that is already, states' rights is already enshrined in so many things that it was a useless piece of legislation. The Trump government has been moving on quashing regulations all over the place. Hundreds and hundreds of regulations have been quashed. And any time the left can grab one of those and scream foul, they scream foul. It has never been foul, though. And I want to go further. I have a New York Times article that I am going to speak to that was shared with me, and I responded with, New York Times is a left-leaning publication. They hate Trump. They take any and every opportunity to show he's failing. Now, this article, and I'm going to read the very first paragraph of it, and you tell me if this sounds like news. After foraging through the dumpster of discarded ideas, the Trump administration has dragged out another fetid reject as part of its campaign to roll back modernity, common sense, and the will of the people. This is opinion, 100% opinion, and it is once again the old, the sky is falling, everybody, because he's not following the status quo. He is not attacking the plant. He is not attacking the plant. I'll let you go on and you make your own decisions reading this article, but I want you to read it, please, with a sense of disbelief, with a sense that these people have an agenda to not give you the accurate news of this. I will also attach below a Leafly article that was on my porch pondering, from which Bricken, Hillary Bricken, a very famous legal cannabis expert lawyer, said, if you're a business owner or a member of the industry, what should you do and what should you be concerned about? Well, number one, you shouldn't panic. Number two, it's business as usual. See? You stick to your state law compliance. You have a good relationship with your regulators. You pay your taxes, and at the same time, you should not ignore this. You need to get to know the U.S. Attorney General in your district, and she goes on. The point is that all he did was free up the hands by he rescinded the Cole memo. The Cole memo tied the hands of U.S. Attorney Generals if they found any kind of law they needed to go after that was already covered by state law. The Cole memo didn't need to exist, and it now does not. All this does is allow, with no additional funding, and in fact, I'll get to it, in most places where medical cannabis is legal, there's still an act that prohibits expenditure of federal funds to crack down on anything that is state. If the state has a law saying it's okay, it's okay. Now, the U.S. Attorney General now has the right to crack down on medical cannabis if he finds that it is a federal issue in which a state law also has been broken. So there has to be both existing. There's going to be no crackdown like that. Oh, there might be some poor players in the industry that this might allow a U.S. Attorney General to go after, maybe a certain player. But this is no industry-wide opening and preparing for a crackdown. And I'd lay my reputation on that, because, and I don't have a great reputation. I'm just a guy in his house renting a home. But I've been around a long time, and I've seen how this goes forward. And I am going to share a lot of other stuff that really underpins my feelings that this is a two-parter. One, it's Sessions. Remember Sessions. Sessions has been in trouble with Trump, and he's in trouble with everybody else. He has not followed the status quo of working for a new boss. He has not bought into the new Trump era, and Trump did not want to touch medical cannabis, but Jeff wants to show that he's doing something. Now, the Department of Justice should have enough on their plate than worrying about a plant. And they do have enough on their plate. And this is a nothing burger. A nothing burger. And this is where I now move into another Leafly article that is really good, that talks further about the protections that Rohrabacher-Blumenauer Act have. Cole memo talked about the act. That act has not been rescinded. It could be rescinded, and even if it is, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals has barred the federal government from spending money to prosecute medical defendants who follow state laws. So the very important thing here is follow your state's laws. Don't break your state's laws, and the U.S. Attorney General won't come in. I'm going to read a part of it where it says, a ruling handed down Tuesday, and this is from August 16th. This still holds. In a ruling handed down Tuesday, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals barred the federal government from spending money to prosecute medical marijuana defendants who follow state laws. The opinion, a win for the cannabis industry, comes less than a week after the USDA controversial decision to keep cannabis on its list of most dangerous drugs. This means that at least in most of the medical states, Ninth Circuit of Appeal was handling many cases within that realm. I'm not an expert there. But it means that as long as you're following state's laws, they can't spend a penny to enforce or arrest state laws that differ from the federal. Rohrabacher-Blumenauer Act covers this even more. And yes, in some of those other states where it's still rather iffy and they haven't really brought the cases in, there might be something. So that's why that Leafly article where the lawyer Bricken says, I don't mean meet and greet your USGA with tea and sandwiches. You need to find out their prosecutorial record. I am quoting what it is and what they care about. Some of them have made their names on certain sectors of enforcement. And see if they're super drug focused or not. Already, the USAG for Colorado has said, ain't going to do it. We're going full forward in improving the laws, not rolling back the laws. So this is just a change of the landscape. No rollback has happened here. It is, once again, fear-mongering at its best, and it pisses me off. Too many medical people who have finally got access to their marijuana are saying, oh no, am I going to lose this access? And I will bet a dime to a dollar you will not. This is moving forward at exponential rates. It can't be stopped. Speaking of, I'm going to give you two underpinning reasons why I also feel this way, and I'm going to speak on them. They're my last two stories. I really only have 4 stories this week because I did give you news last week. This week, January 1st, California, adult use or recreational use has been legalized in one, I think it's the largest state, but it's huge. And it's an absolute fantastic article. I'm not reading pieces on it. I'm bringing it forward to discuss it. California becomes another major state to have both medical and adult use going. Medical is 25 of the 50 states now. 50%. And now we're getting more and more. Pretty soon, July this year, Massachusetts will also become a recreational state. This snowball is becoming too big. And I know from following Trump, he does not want to interfere with state laws. He does when it comes to immigration, because immigration is a federal thing that is being handled rather locally, but it has huge federal impact. Marijuana laws have zero federal impact. And I truly believe that within the next 2-3 years, their government work on opioid crisis will bring forward the medical cannabis industry even further, and they'll have to finally admit that this is happening. My next story says the other underpinning reason why I think none of this rollback could ever happen. Remember, Canada, as of July of 2018, will be a recreational country. Adult use and medical use, fully legal, regulated, of course, and those regulations will blossom and become better. But also this year, Australia becomes...
This is Australia's newest cash crop.
Geez, I got to pause that.
The Can Group in Victoria is one of 25 licensed producers of medicinal cannabis.
Of medical cannabis. Or the story that I'm attaching below from SBS News is that they intend to become one of the world's leaders in the export of medical cannabis. They do understand that they need to grow enough for their own medical people, and it's a burgeoning industry. They've only just legalized it medically, but they bought into it like a government should. Here's a new industry. Let's see if we can become a leader. Canada, I think, although Australia means well, Canada already is a leader, already exporting to places like Portugal and some of the Eastern states, Eastern European states, and Canada is becoming bigger and bigger, and it's going... So we now have 2 countries that are going to be competing for international marketplace that is blossoming. The U.S. is not going to stand by and let other people become the leaders of something when they can easily become the leader. So I do see that as that tide shifts, as we move from 50 to 75% of the states being medical, as we move from, I think it's 20% being recreational to 50% being recreational, or even completely, we will find that the U.S. is going to want to get in on that industry. Once you get over the stigma, you realize there's a new industry, and it's burgeoning, and it's blossoming, and it's beautiful. And Canada is embracing it, and Australia is realizing it needs to embrace it. It's only a matter of time that logic hits, and US embraces it too. That's really my hippie news for this week. That's what I've got. It's all on one continuum. Keep in mind when you hear something that scares you about your access to your plant, to the things that make you better, remember, where'd the story come from? Who's writing the story, and who's their audience? Are they just trying to sell things, or are they trying to actually teach you something? It's very difficult to get news nowadays, and all you're getting from me, you're not getting news from me. You're getting a dissemination of what other people call news, and I'm trying to find the truth within it. And I'm not presenting the truth, I'm presenting my opinion. And my opinion is learned, but it's not always right. It's not always perfect. And you need to take this information and study it however you need to. The links below, expand on other links, read, find out about the Rohrabacher-Blumenauer Act, read it more, understand how your US federal government does not want to step on states' rights, and they just want to get rid of the regulations that oversee that kind of thing to make it cleaner. I truly believe that's where it's going. So don't believe everything you read. Don't listen to everything you hear. Take in what you want and study beyond it. And purposely read things you disagree with. And then logically break it down. Maybe parts of it are true. And improve your own education so that you and I can educate other people better. I do wish you a happy Sunday. And I will be probably 2 weeks before we have another hippie news. But I hope you've enjoyed this one. And please comment below. If you want something specially covered, share it with me. It'll be on the next hippie news. Peace and cheers, friends. Love and harmony.